Okay. Would you do me a favor? And I'll even give you this board so you don't have to write on this thing. There's a board. And you choose any pen you want. The one thing we might need is grab a paper towel or something so you can erase with it. I would like to see you work through this question.
Is that an X or is it times?
It's an X.
Okay.
It's an X.
Is that an X too?
Yeah, that's an X too.
That's in a while.
That's okay. That's why it's kind of like a little warm up.
Is that like even closer? Or is it? Nope.
I
know I messed up on that one.
Okay. Let me teach you a little trick. All right. So I'm going to take what you have right now, because this part is written right. This is 1/2 x plus 3x minus 6 is equal to 2x plus 2 plus 1. So you did that part right. If you're going to combine like terms together, I'm going to combine these two together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got the 3 there, and then this is plus 2x. And then I have 3x minus 6, and then this is plus 1/2 x. That x right there is up at the top. It's not at the bottom. So when you see an x written off to the side, it's always a top number. So I could literally like write 1/2 x like that, like this. That's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of one of the mistakes that you just made there, because you put the x on the bottom. It's always a top number if it's written off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this term and that term, and I'm going to put them together because they're the same types of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to add 6 to both sides.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1/2 x plus 3x, and then this would be equal to 2x, sorry, plus 9. And now I'm going to put these two terms together. So I'm going to subtract 2x over here. So I have 1/2, sorry, let me go back. I have 1/2 x, and that would be plus x is equal to 9, right? Now, the one thing that I can do to get rid of this fraction is I can multiply both sides by 2. I can multiply this by 2, and I can multiply this by 2. Because if I do it to both sides of the equation, then I haven't changed the answer, right? So that means that this and that are going to cancel. So that's going to change that to x plus 2x is equal to 18. See how I got that? So whenever you see a fraction, if you multiply everything by the denominator of the fraction disappears.
Okay.
And that's the trick that you should always use whenever you're doing algebra stuff. I hate when it does that. So this is 3x is equal to 18, and so x is equal to 6.
Okay.
I could have done it way up here, and normally when I'm doing that math, that's where I would do it. I would multiply everything by 2.
Yeah, that could have been.
So let me do that. Let me grab this. Let me grab that too. And I might as well get that out of the way. Okay. So when you're multiplying, I'm going to put 2 there. So that times that is going to make that just x. I'm going to multiply the 2 to that number on the outside, not to both of them.
Okay.
Because if you multiply 2 times 3 times 4, that's the same as multiplying 3 times 4 times 2, right? So you don't multiply the 3 to both the 4 and the 2, right? You just multiply it to the front number. So this would be plus 6x minus 12, right? And then I want to multiply this number by 2, so that makes that 4. So that would be 4x plus 4 plus 2. So that's 6. That's 6 plus 12, so that's 18. And then this is 7 minus 4, so that's 3x. So you still get the same answer. So whenever you see fractions, think multiply by the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to give you a question that looks like this now. I want you to do that one for me.
So what's the denominator of 1/3?
3.
Okay.
What's the denominator of 2/5?
5?
So what number should I multiply everything
15?
by? Right. You want to multiply everything by 15.
Okay. So you get
Okay, so let's talk about this then. So I have 15 times 2/5. So the first thing that I want to do is divide that number into that number. So I'm going to divide those together, so that becomes a 3. And I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to multiply it by the top number.
6.
So that would be 6x. Okay, so do the exact same thing with that one.
Oh,
You see
I
that?
do remember doing this. Oh, I understand now.
Okay, go ahead.
And then, let's see.
Don't feel bad because it's summertime. And most of my juniors that I'm working with right now all have summer brain.
Yeah. Let's see, 15 times. Yikes. Oh my god, I don't remember how to do that. Is that right?
Slide the 120
Oh,
over
that's
one.
right. So you get one more. So that's 0, 0, 8, 1.
Right.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then 11x plus 1800 equals 15x. Does 4 go into...
Yep.
Oh, dang.
Math.
Wait, take away the 0 is 165 or is it 100?
Okay. Do this with me. How many times does 4 go into 18?
2. Oh wait, it goes into it 4 times.
And that gives you a...
16. And then 2 of 5. So 4, 5 of.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to ask you, give me every board. I just want you to read those words and then write me an equation using those words. I want to see if you can do that.
If nobody... So of 3, 4, does that mean it's of both of them, or the average of 3, 4?
3, 4, and W.
Okay. The average of 3, 4, W.
Sorry about that.
This doesn't make any sense, but I don't understand the average.
Okay. Let's talk about the word average. Average has 3 different parts to it. It has the actual average itself. That's a number. It has a sum. And it has the number of numbers. It's always those 3 different parts. And when you're doing an SAT question, 9 times out of 10, it's always easier to write the equation for average this way. The number of numbers times the average is equal to the sum. So if I'm looking at that question, does it tell me what the average actually is?
What, 3 and 4?
No. Read the question out loud for me.
If W is an integer, and the average of 3, 4, and W is less than 10, what is the greatest possible value of
Okay.
W?
So I'm going to actually just write this all the way up. Does it give me a text box? Yeah. this says if W is I need to make this text box bigger. Oh, I hate when it does that. Here we go. Oh, I didn't mean to grab all that. Write down that formula for me on your sheet. And then we're going to break each one of those parts down. Okay. So it says that W is an integer, right? And I'm finding the average of these three numbers, 3, 4, and W.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's telling me 3, 4, and W, that's giving me this part. It's giving me the sum.
Okay.
So how do you write the sum of those three integers?
Multiply them? Or...
What does sum mean?
Oh, plus?
Plus. So this would be 3 plus 4 plus W.
Okay.
And then how many numbers do I have?
3.
3. So I'm going to put 3 because that's the number of numbers that I have. And then it's telling me that the average is less than 10. So that means that 10 is bigger than the actual average, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have my inequality, and it's going to be gobbling up the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So instead of putting the equal sign here, I'm going to put the inequality there. And I'm just going to substitute in each one of these different parts. The number of numbers is 3.
Mm-hmm.
The average is 10, so I'm going to put that 10 there. And then the sum are these three numbers. And all you have to do is solve that inequality.
So 30, 12, oh no, wait, 7 plus W, and then, let's see, 23.
So 23 is bigger than W.
Mm-hmm.
So what can W be if I'm trying to find the greatest possible integer?
Anything under 23.
What is the next integer?
22.
22, so that would be the answer.
Okay.
And that's how the SAT will ask the question, because they'll actually want you to figure out that number. And they'll have 23 as an answer, so just be aware of that. So whenever you're doing an average, you break it down into average, the sum, and the number of numbers. and then you literally just substitute into that equation. I guess a couple of things. Whenever something says less than, you're always going to make the number with the inequality pointing toward that number. Okay, if it's greater than, then it would be the exact opposite way. And always means to add. And there are actually, I actually want you to take some notes because there are a couple of different things that
The words.
Yeah. If you can memorize this text box with what the words mean and then what you're actually supposed to do mathematically, this is going to help you decode what a problem is actually asking you to do. You, on your exam, missed a lot of questions that had to do with taking words and actually making it formulas, and that's another thing that I wanted to practice with you. Do you have a phone or a notebook paper or something like that?
A phone? Like to take a
Yeah, you can just take a picture of it.
Okay.
You got it all?
I think so, the whole box, yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, that actually might be the next thing that we're actually practicing. I think I did that by design. Oh, okay. Okay, this next part is under system of equations. Can you solve that for me? And the actual question is, find the average of A and B.
Find the average of A and B. So like find A and B, or
It's find the A and B and then find the average of A and B.
Okay.
So it's kind of the next level of question.
is that right?
Is that 16B? Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So 40 divided by 16 is... 5? 8.5
It'd be 2.5.
equals B.
Oh. Okay. So find A.
Okay. So 15A plus 2.5 equals. Wait, nope, that's not right. So 3 times 2.5. 6.5?
A is 6.5.
No. Is that right? 3 times 2.5 is
3 times 2.5 is 15. 7.5.
7.5. Oh yeah, I forgot that little time. 7.5. So 5A equals 22.5. 22. 4.5?
I don't think it's going to give you the right answer. Because if you're finding the average between the two of them, then the average is actually 2.5. Let me, yeah. Okay, let me show you how I would do this question. This is a different way of thinking about the question. So when I look at something, I try to see if I see a pattern between with the stuff that they actually give me. Do you see a pattern there?
Mm-hmm.
What's the pattern?
3 and 5, and then 5 and 3 at least.
Okay, and remember that you have an average is equal to the sum
And the numbers.
and the number of numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any way to find this? How could you find the sum of two equations? What do you do to them?
Combine them.
Combine them. So let's see what happens when I do that. What's that plus that?
8. 8. 40.
Do you know anything about factoring?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any way to simplify that equation?
Yeah, you could take the 4s out, or
Bigger.
you could take 8 out.
You can take 8 out. So if I divide that by 8, I get
1.
So that's just A, right?
Mm-hmm. And then B, and then 5. Huh.
A plus B, isn't that the...
Yeah.
How many numbers do I have?
3 or 2.
2. Doesn't that give me the average? What's 2 divided by 5?
2 divided by 5. 2.5.
Mm-hmm. That's the answer.
That one had a lot easier.
So if you see a pattern, try to use it, especially if they give you a system of equations. Try to either add them or subtract them depending on what they're actually asking you to do, because they actually might ask you to find the average of the difference between the two equations too.
Okay.
Which would mean you would subtract both of them. But this works out nice because you could actually see that pattern. The only thing that's switching with the A's and the B's are the numbers in front, right? And that's why that works out. So try to see if you see a pattern before you actually do the question.
Okay.
It's a time test, right, too? So we're trying to do this as fast as possible, too. So just remember that little trick. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to type up this question for you. Okay, so let's break this down. I have the sum of two numbers is 10. How can I write a mathematical equation for that?
Like a plus b equals 10.
And I say their difference is 2.
So you could do a equals, wait, the difference, like the amount between them?
The difference of the two numbers is 2. The word is means what mathematical symbol?
Equal.
And what's supposed to go after that?
2. Oh, so then minus each other equal 2. A minus b equals 2. So you can have a equals 2 plus b.
Well, add those two equations together. What do you get?
And
That see how that works, right?
And yeah, 2a, and then the b's go away, 12. A equals 6.
So what's b?
Wait.
That's my 6. That's my sloppy handwriting.
A equals 6, so that means 4.
So what's this word mean?
Times each other?
Times each other. So what's the answer?
24.
All right. Okay.
I'm so used to substituting. That's what I'm always used to do.
Well, on the SAT, it's almost always elimination is the easiest way to do the question. Unless you're doing functions, then you will have to substitute. But we're not going to do that today anyway. Okay, so we're done with that particular section. So I want you to try a couple of these different questions. We'll start from the easiest one. I want you to do number 1. And I'm going to stop this recording.
On this thing?
Yeah, on the board so I can watch you do it.